We will eliminate the backlog, and rebuild travelers' trust by bringing greater clarity and transparency to our passenger rights regime and by introducing stronger penalties. Canadians deserve an air passenger protection system that is clear, comprehensive, and enforceable.
Among some of the other measures here, Ottawa plans to allow fines for systemic violations to increase up to $1 million in order to push airlines to be faster and deal with these complaints on a more expedited basis. So is it going to actually work? How do you clear a backlog of 100,000 complaints? Let's go to Halifax. Gabor Lukasz is joining us. He is founder of the Air Passenger Rights, a big advocate when it comes to air travel in our country. Good to see you. Thanks for your time. What's the takeaway here? What do people need to know about this announcement?
Good afternoon. It's great to be with you. Unfortunately, we have not been hearing any specifics, and that's a grave concern. Of course, it's very welcome that after some 9 years that we cautioned the Liberal government that what they were planning in 2017 would fail. Now they are acknowledging that this was a failure in its current form. And let me add, this was failure by design. It's impossible to have a system where adjudicating a $400 dispute requires a full day of work, which is what the current situation is. And it is directly caused by all these categories and all these loopholes that an adjudicator has to check what actually caused the flight disruption, if it was a maintenance issue, safety issue. While in Europe, they have a working system where only the most egregious extreme cases relieve airlines from paying compensation, like a volcanic eruption. Everything else, compensation is payable. Simple as that. Well, I'm also not impressed by the claim of bigger penalties, given that the previous increase in the Act, in the Canada Transportation Act, of penalties has never been implemented in the air passenger protection regulations. So Parliament told the government, you need to increase the fines. The government was just bucking Parliament.
They are now saying that the system they're going to bring in, Gabor, is one based on what the Europeans do and the British do. So it's a third-party, independent type of agency or company that'll be in charge of this. Is that going to be? Is that going to be more effective, or is that are they not getting? They're not being clear on how that's going to work, is what you're saying?
The government is not telling you the truth. The government is misleading the public because the key piece of the European regime is the very simple liability system that you know exactly based on public information whether compensation is or isn't owed. This private adjudication systems is not part of the APPR's equivalent in the European Union. It's not part of the European regulations. They have set it up in some countries to augment the legal system, but that's not even part of the Regulation 261 of 2000 for the European Parliament. It's simply not there. It was added as a measure to maybe provide another avenue to speed things up, but it's not mandatory, and it is not what makes the European Union system the gold standard. What makes the gold standard is that in the vast majority of the cases, the airlines have to pay compensation, and the exceptions are very, very easily verifiable based on independent public information. You don't have to have a whole pile of documents from the airline that only the airline has to show whether compensation is or isn't owed.
Do you think this latest plan is going to fail as well?
I believe it will depend a lot on whether the government is genuinely determined to implement the European Union's gold standard when it comes to what the regulations themselves look like when compensation is or isn't owed. If they have an effective set of regulations like in the European Union, then actually the backlog could and should be cleared by public employees. There's no need to outsource it. And if they maintain the current broken APPR, just rebrand a few things, then a private company is going to be failing the same way as the current regime is failing, because this is a failure by design. It is not because those dispute resolution officers are lazy or incompetent per se. There is also a lot of political interference coming from Transport Canada, which, of course, if you have a private company that depends on the good graces of the government, they will also be subject to some taint and they will not be independent. So the best solution, in my view, would be to revamp the APPR, as we have been urging the government to do for the past 9 years, and then let the backlog just be cleared up based on a sane, sound set of rules that it takes 5 minutes to decide each case.
Gabor Lukács joining us from Halifax, an air travel passenger rights advocate. Thanks for this.
Thank you very much for having me.